Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Decoding Dating. My name's Adam Melnick. I'm the momentum coach helping you get unstuck and moving forward. And I'm joined by my beautiful co host.
Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn and I'm the founder of Love and Connection and also Love Circle, which is a single community. And I'm here to help you find your perfect love. And I'm excited to be here.
I love it. Today, we are going to be talking about emotions in relationships. And this one really came about because I was talking with a client, and this client had been hearing a lot of discussion online that you should not talk to women about your emotions. You are a fool to talk about your emotions. You need to keep that to yourself. It is not a safe space unless you want your relationship to end. And I found this baffling because in much of my research, it clearly said, hey, sharing your emotions, being emotionally vulnerable actually creates a stronger relationship. And in looking at it, I was like, I don't think many people understand how to share emotions or when they should share their emotions in a relationship.
Yeah, I think it's a very great topic actually, because I think emotion is something I know people struggle with. It takes time for you to even be vulnerable anyway in your relationship. You want to ensure that you trust the person. Is this person worth sharing my that part of me? And I think it's very hard. But then, like I said, it helps, like you say, it helps to create more bond, which you want in your relationship. But as well, there's always that middle ground, like how much emotion can you share? Like, do you need to, so it just depends, right?
Oh, absolutely. But I think when I always get the feeling that when people talk about, I want my man to share his emotions or I want my woman to share her emotions, I always get the feeling that when they're talking about sharing their emotions, it's about the negative emotions. I wanna hear how crappy their day is. I wanna hear how depressed they are, as opposed to, I wanna hear about all the awesome things, things that make them happy, make things that makes them excited for life. I often feel it's more the negative emotions, and it gets to a point of if you're always opening up and you're only talking about your negative emotions, that's kind of dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I think because maybe the most popular emotion is negative, I guess. Because I think because negative can be very destructive, that's anger and all those type of stuff. But I think it's very important for I would say it's being able to be vulnerable, being able to share both as emotion, happy, sad. Because for some people, when they're happy, they may be louder, they may be very loud, they may be very, funny, a lot of things comes with that. And there are people that even when they're with a partner, they can't be truly happy, like they can't laugh in a particular way. When they laugh in a particular way, the partner kind of caution them and all. And those kind of people too, when they are sad or they are crying, especially for men, like you said, your client that is a male. For women, for example, some women want men that are very masculine, is very tough, macho, army vibe. But then when it is time when a man is vulnerable, just like we know with most culture, right? They be like men don't cry or that stuff. So a lot of men too they grow up not being able to share, not being able to be vulnerable, and the women to tend to learn that okay, this is how a man should be. And when he's vulnerable, for some reason they kind of see it as weakness, right? So yeah.
Well, and I think it's they see it as weakness because they've never seen it, like you said, but also they're not equipped to handle that level of emotion. Because I know when it comes to women, when they have emotions, they like to talk to their friendship group and they kind of spread their emotional baggage around. Men are more solitary creatures. They don't talk to their friendship group around the negative things going on in their life. And so when a girl comes up and says, "Hey, Adam, can you can you open up and talk to me about what's going on in your life?" It's a moment of let me open up the floodgates and dump everything onto you. And I don't think many people are prepared just to handle that type of baggage. And then they get scared.
Yeah. Yeah, like you mentioned, like women, we have outlets, right? We have friends, we have family members that we talk to. Like women, most women would have like that bestie or that sister or that mom that they always call, which is very useful because, I feel like your partner cannot be your everything. And it's always very good to have that one or two person in your life that you talk to. And because no matter what, if I have to bring everything to my partner, it gets to it. And if I'm always, let's say I'm always down most of the time, maybe I'm going through some phase in my life, and if I have to always tell my partner, "Oh, I'm sad," every two business days or 2 days, it is as human as he is, he would get exhausted at some point. Because his job would be like, if he's a man that loves you, he will want you to be happy, he wants you to be more cheerful. But then if you're always that way, somebody they call it maybe you're a sadist, you know. So as much as it is, I would say maybe one person may not be built to handle all your emotions. So have people outside of your partner that you can always rely on to, unload, right? So that your partner is not carrying all the burden, because it can be a lot for your
Oh, I love
partner.
you're
Yeah.
giving me flashbacks. I remember dating this girl, and it was in my younger days, and she was just a negative person. She was just so negative, and things were never going right in her life. And she would always just complain to me at nauseam every single day about how awful her life was. And it
Mm-hmm.
is exhausting to hold that much just negativity all the time.
Yeah.
It got to the point I was like, "I can't do this anymore." Like, I am done. I feel like an emotional tampon at this point, like, I need to walk away.
Yeah, I think it can be very exhausting. I must tell you, and I think I know someone that is very likes to talk. He loves to talk, and when he's talking, he's happy. Like he's happy, he's excited. As much as I don't mind people talking, but I think it depends on what you say. Like I don't want you always telling everybody your secret and all, but talk. So I think what I had to learn was that I realized that I just have to say, okay, guy, I'm happy that you like to talk, and that's like your happy place. That's your happy thing to do. But I just want us to be very careful what we tell people about our private life, right? And I think some in life there's boundaries to everything. And when that boundaries is in place, I'm like, guy, talk your way into happiness, because you want your partner to be able to express themselves. You want them to be able to express happiness, joy, all those emotions, right? And because you want them to go, when you're at work, you're corporate, you're always acting corporate and all, but you want them to come home and be like be like be vulnerable, be joyful, be everything. Behave like a child if you want to be cocky, whatever you want to do, that just be yourself. Because I want to be my house and be free and be myself, right? I don't have to start acting or trying to be something I'm not. But I think one thing is you also need to have a partner that love is something. If a partner loves you some point, they'll be happy that you're happy, right? They'll be able to hold you or be there for you when you are not also so happy or sad or going through things in life. And I think that's why it's important that you're able to go through those phases at the early stage of dating, because how they react says a lot. Because when you're married, it's a lifetime thing, right? So you have to be sensing those behavior or attitude when you're around them and you're expressing your emotions. Now there are negative emotions like anger, and that's why in life you have to learn to manage your emotions too, regulate it, right? Because your emotion, anger, for example, is a very terrible emotion. Nobody is born to be able to handle toxic anger. Some emotions are very negative, so that's when you manage that, regulate yourself, and you know.
Oh, absolutely. Emotional regulation is important. It's okay to express your negative emotions. In fact, it's healthy in a relationship to talk about it. If there's problems going on, you should sit down and discuss it. However, you still need to be able to regulate your emotions. Your partner shouldn't be your therapist. You shouldn't be going out to them and be like, let me tell you about every negative thing that's going on in my life. It's like, no, you need to some emotional regulation. You need to be able to deal with your own emotions and only be able to air the emotions that need to be aired. But it's also important to sprinkle in all those good times, all the happy emotions, the joyous emotions. Be like, hey, babe, I really appreciated it when you did this.
Yeah.
I loved it when we went and celebrated that because nothing turns another person on more than being rewarded for doing something
Appreciation.
good.
Yeah, I think so. Like be like appreciate those happy moments, right? Like, create a lot of happy moments in your relationship, right? It's not always fun to be with someone that is always sad, always complaining, always grumpy. It's not always fun to be with them. So sometimes be intentional about creating happy moment. That doesn't mean there's not moments where you'll be sad, but when the sadness is more than a happy moment, that is when it's exhausting. And yeah, well, it's crazy because I know, like I think I mentioned that with you before when there was a show where the guy was very vulnerable and very emotional, and the lady didn't like it. But the good thing is that she knows what she likes, right? I'm not gonna say she's a bad person for not wanting a guy that is too emotional because she knows she can't tolerate it. She knows she does not have the capacity for it.
Yeah.
So it's good to know yourself and know what you can deal with. If you're with a guy that is very emotional and you know you don't have the capacity, avoid for your good, you may try to avoid it, right? But if you go a lady that some people are built differently, but if you know that you're someone that you know you can handle it, you're more a nurturer or whatever, then yeah, know yourself so that you know what your capacity is and know what you can actually, uh, you know,
Yeah,
cope with.
know yourself. Because if you know you cannot handle the emotions,
Yeah.
don't dive in there. There's nothing worse than being like, "Hey, babe, can you open up and tell me what's going on?" And then they do, only for you to punish them because you're not emotionally equipped. And if you wanna be emotionally equipped, I know Evelyn or myself are more than happy to sit down with you and help you kinda get those skills underneath your belt, or there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there just to help improve your
Yeah.
emotional intelligence. But if you're not equipped to handle it, recognize it. There's no fault in it, and maybe look for somebody who isn't going to be as emotionally charged as an individual that might be too draining for you.
Yes, I think those are things that you look for to when you're choosing a partner. And like I would say is it's not everything that you also tell your partner, right? It's not everything. There's some things that you might tell your partner that will make them get worried. So you know the kind of partner that you have. If you tell your partner, babe, I'm feeling or whatever the emotion is, and if you think that she's gonna be scared, she's gonna be so worried that it's gonna affect her to some point, then maybe you need to have maybe like turn to like a family member or someone, a friend that that can help you in that part. Because I would say not your spouse isn't meant to undo everything for you. um but it's good to, like I say, even men, female, male or female, have someone in your life that's not, I'm not saying a guy go find a girl that you're talking to, but it's like have a guy friend in your life that will understand from your perspective and be able to hold that, able to just hold you and encourage you. And but if you know you have a partner that can carry, can shoulder those emotions or can encourage, then take ad, have them take advantage of it and you
Oh,
know
absolutely.
be able to share, because you have to be lucky to have a partner that can just let you just be you, to express yourself, but also understand the kind of partner that you have and then to manage it like that.
Well, I think you hit on 2 really good points. The first one is have a bigger social circle. You
Yeah.
can't share everything with your partner. This was a lesson I learned because I worked a very dangerous job with very mentally ill people. And I remember disclosing some of the stuff that I was doing with some of my patients. And my partner at the time was very concerned about my safety, and rightfully so. It was a very dangerous job. And it kind of clued me in. It's like, oh, I actually can't tell my partner everything that's going on at work
Yeah.
because that would be too much for her.
Hmm.
And so I had to reach out and find my own social network of individuals that I could disclose and be like, hey, I almost got murdered at work today because of this. I
Hmm.
need to talk about it. And it
Hmm.
kept the relationship safe because she didn't have to worry about me. She thought everything was hunky dory. And I was still able to talk about what was going on so I could deal with my own stuff as opposed to just dumping it in the relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah. So it's just basically Too much of negative emotion is not good. No matter how the person loves you, at some point, if it's too negative, they get exhausted. So that's why having, like you said, having someone, a friend, your father, your mom, or somebody to actually fill in the gap, right?
Well, and I think you said something else really amazing, which was the right person you can be emotional with.
Yes.
Not everybody you can vent about what's going on in your life. Not everybody you can talk about these emotions. And sometimes people are just like, I want a surface level relationship. I don't want any of this deep stuff. So you trying to bring in emotions into this conversation is a no-go. And so
Yeah.
it's finding that right partner.
Yeah. Find the right partner, right? Because personality is a thing. So find the right partner to be able to you want to be with someone that you can be vulnerable with, right? You want to be with someone that you can be able to be happy with. Because there's some people where the way they laugh could annoy their partner. So they can't even freely laugh. They can't freely be happy. Some people can't be happy because they have this partner is always telling them how to laugh, how to behave in the house, you know. You see, so that you imagine being in that kind of a relationship. You are constantly acting. You go to work, you act. You come back home, you act. That is very exhausting, and it's a very unhappy place to be. But it is very important to have a partner that can accommodate both your good and bad moment. It's very important. So find that partner is good, because let me tell you, a lot of men are also committing suicide because they don't have that person to say, babe, I'm down. Like, why can't your partner come and say, babe, I'm so sad today, babe? I'm feeling why? You know? But like we said, it's always good to have that partner that you can always come to when you're happy, when you're sad, not only when you're happy, right? So I think that balance is very important. And have good support system as well.
Exactly. And if you're somebody who your partner is opening up to you on the first time, I always recommend rewarding them.
Yeah.
Cheer them on, encourage this type of behavior if you want to see it. There's nothing worse than your partner opening up to you and then you hurting them with that knowledge or attacking them in some way, because it just teaches them at the end of the day, hey, don't open up to me. I'm not safe. And that's generally not what we want in a relationship.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, right? Because there are situations where people always say, don't tell your partner about your exes, because then they can use that against you, depending on who the person is. And I think it's always good to test your partner with some information and see how they react or how they handle it. And then I will give you like a signal to say, okay, now I can safely keep sharing and keep being vulnerable with this person. But it's always good to test your partner with the small things first before you start going deeper and becoming more vulnerable. And as you say, we are human, and there's a tendency that when someone shares something with you, depending on what it is, there are times that you might joke with it. So it's because we are human. So I think sometimes just catch yourself when you're trying to do that. There are things that you can joke with that they won't even mind, they can laugh with, but there's some things that they might find very it might be very difficult for them to handle. So be very mindful of what you can joke with and how you hold your partner, how you make them feel safe, how you create that safety for them so that they can come home, so that you'll be the first person that they can talk to when they're facing both emotions or more than nine, if there are more than, you're that person that they can always come to first. Imagine you have a partner and she's having a bad day, and the first person she calls up is her best friend or her mom, and you're the last person to know how she's feeling or how that is sad. Because that just tells me that you've not created us. There's something wrong in that relationship, kind of, right? So
If you don't have that safe space, it is a tragedy in a relationship. But thank you guys for joining us. I think we could babble on about this for hours, to be honest. But if you like this episode, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with someone who could also use this information. And then, Evelyn, any final words?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful episode, and we'd love to hear what you guys think because I like you like we said, just to sum everything up is it's great to have a safe place where you can be vulnerable, be able to express yourself, but also it's also very important to have people in your life that can also help you to, can just be there for you so that your like I said, your partner can be everything. So yeah. So find that safe place, that safe space, safe people. And we can't wait to see what you guys think if you've ever been or found yourself having difficulty expressing yourself or the good or bad story. So thank you guys, and we can't wait to see you again next time in our next episode.
Take
Bye.
care.